Hey girl, welcome back to my channel. So in today's episode, I'm going to be continuing on my series all about my experience living and working in China. And in this episode, I want to tell you about my apartment. All I'm saying. Me and my cousin moved to China together, and we were both going to be teachers there in Beijing. And when we got in there and we were meeting the people in our center, the other staff and the managers, we had kind of asked around, how does somebody find an apartment? And the majority of them kind of just, suggested that we would use this one website called Z Room. And through Z Room, it's kind of, if you can imagine like apartments.com or like for rent, however, it's all in Mandarin. And so once we were able to get logged in through the help of the staff and some of our friends and get onto the platform itself, we were able to kind of look through the apartments. Apartment hunting is really interesting, but it's a whole different game when it's in a place that you've never been to before, a brand new city, all different neighborhoods, and it's all in a language that you don't speak. So it can present some challenges, but basically, we set up, I don't know how many tours, but it was many. And I would say we'd probably seen 15 plus different apartments and in all different areas of the city. The issue is that when you would go to meet one of the Z Room agents, there was really no way to identify them necessarily. It was just like a random person standing outside the apartment building. So that was a bit odd. There were also times where you would meet them, you'd go up to the apartment, you'd take a look, and then they would also take you to other apartments in the area. So there were times when we were definitely riding on the back of bikes of the Z Room agents and going to the place. It was interesting. Saying it out loud, it seems ridiculous, but that's absolutely what happened. I would say that the main issue was obviously communication. Communication was definitely an issue, and we absolutely tried our best through Google Translate and also utilizing our staff at our centers that could speak, that were Beijing locals. They spoke Mandarin, and we used them as a translator back and forth sometimes. But it was still really difficult to communicate exactly what we wanted. So a lot of the times we would have to do the research ourselves as to okay, well, where is this apartment located in relation to my center where I'll be teaching and my cousin's center where she will be teaching. And it was a lot. It was honestly quite stressful. And a lot of the times, which was really interesting, was that we would come to these buildings and we'd already seen photos of the actual apartment itself online. But we would arrive at the building where we would see this building. It'd be, dated, kind of spooky, bars on the windows, and there's no lighting outside or even inside in the stairway. There could be all kinds of stuff in the hallways stacked up. It just kind of felt really dirty and old. And it was really bizarre because you would walk through all of that and then they would open the actual apartment unit and it would look brand new. Super clean, super modern, had almost felt like it just been remodeled. It was bizarre because the rest of the building felt very spooky, almost like some of these looked like horror films. But then you got inside and it felt oh, this is fresh, this is clean. But it was odd. It was kind of like we were just imagining getting home from work late at night and having to walk up to this building and walk up the stairs and enter into the building and have to walk through all of that before we even got to apartment. It wasn't feeling very safe and comfortable. So a lot of those we definitely, we said no to. Um, I would also say that for the apartment that we actually ended up getting, I think that it was absolutely the best choice that we had. Um, and also for the cost. It was kind of like we had been searching and searching and searching. We've been all over the city at this point trying to find this apartment. And when we finally did find the apartment, it was like we found the one diamond in the rough, Like, I mean, we'd been all over the city. We'd been to apartments where, I mean, our apartment would be on the freaking 6th floor and there's no elevator. Not happening. There were ones that absolutely had a sketchy exterior and interior, and it was like, oh, this is not happening. We also toured a couple of hutongs, which is like, if you ever go to Beijing, it's like this area where it's a lot of tiny little alleyways and all the houses are kind of tucked in together. And oh, that was a little too tight, and that wasn't it. But after so much searching for, days, we were trying to work through this, finding the apartment, the location, the cost, trying to communicate with the agent himself. And, when we finally found our apartment, it was literally such a relief. And it was a shock. It was like, oh my God, we finally found the best of both worlds. But I'm telling you, it was a hustle to find it. And my cousin and I don't know how many times we argued, but it was a lot about, okay, well, she could give up some space, but I wanted a view. There were apartments that didn't have living rooms or didn't have bedrooms. Like it was odd. I mean, towards the end of it, before we found our apartment, I think we were literally considering just like finding a 1-bedroom and then one of us sleeping on the couch. Not cute. Not cute. So... it's absolutely a process, but the relief when you actually find the apartment that you want, it's just the best. The apartment we ended up settling on was in Chiang District on Baiyuanlu Road. It was a 2-bedroom apartment that was very Western style and in a high-rise building. Our building also had an elevator because your girl is not doing stairs every single day. And the rent ended up being basically $1,050 to $1,100 a month. But in China, they do not pay rent monthly. It is every 3 months. So when you finally find your apartment, you pay 3 months rent deposit, which is essentially the equivalent of 1 month's rent. And then you also pay like a finder's fee or an agent fee for the person who helped you find your apartment. And that is another month's rent. So essentially 5 months rent, you're paying all out at once. So it is a lot of money to like initially get into your apartment, but then, you have 3 months where you're not paying rent. And then the following, you pay the next 3. It's odd, but that's a system essentially. So after that, you pay it and you're able to move in quite quickly. My cousin and I believe we moved in within, it was like a matter of days where we were able to finally just like move right into our apartment, but then we move in and we have nothing. So, time to go to IKEA and start shopping. But now I will show you our apartment. In the video, you will be seeing my cousin. I'm the one filming the video, and she's kind of walking around, kind of describing different things in the apartment. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. All right, so I'm gonna put the apartment tour here on my left side, and I'll kind of walk you through. So let's get into it. So yes, I am knocking on the door. We were kind of trying to go for this MTV Cribs moment, but it's lame now that I look back on it, but it is what it is. So that's my cousin, and immediately when we walk in, you can see that both the living room and the kitchen is one open area. On the left-hand side, we have the TV, And then on the right side is basically this area that was our living room. So if you are ever in China, or if you've ever lived in China, I'm sure that you recognize the infamous yellow couch that is absolutely quintessentially Z-room like style of their apartments. On the right hand side, we have like a cupboard basically, which is where we would keep all of our shoes and slippers. We have the couch, and we also have this rug that we bought on Taobao. If we continue on, we have the fridge, and yes, there are lots of magnets on there from our other travels, also photos. Our kitchen was a good sized kitchen for 2 people. Definitely had a lot of good storage. And as you can see, it is still very modern. If you look, there is no oven. A lot of Chinese apartments just don't have ovens. So we definitely would kind of have to switch around some of our meals sometimes because we didn't have that capability. There was many times when I just was dying for like a spice cake, and I just had to accept that would never happen. But anyway, and then you have kind of like our dining room area. It's right in front of this really big window. We loved this window because we would decorate it for like Christmas and different holidays with the little like window decals. So yeah, so this is our kitchen area and also the dining space. After you go through the hallway, to the right is my cousin's room. Her room was smaller than mine, but both of the rooms are essentially the same kind of furniture and layout. So she had a big window in her room, and she has her bed, and then also a side table and like her closet on that far left-hand side. Then if you come down the hallway a bit more, you'll see the bathroom. So the bathroom is basically like a wet room. And all that means is that there's really no shower curtain or anything. And so we were the ones who bought that shower curtain when we moved in. But you have the toilet, the sink, and then you also have the washer. So there was no dryer in the apartment, but we did have a washer. And yeah, after that, we go across the hallway. We have a mirror at the end of the hallway into my bedroom. And yes, again, it is bigger, noticeably bigger than my cousin's room, but we have the bed and the 2 dressers are actually closets, and then a big window. So both of the windows, both in my room and my cousin's room, you could open them. And a lot of the times people will set their clothes like on a drying rack out there. We rarely did that. We kind of just had a drying rack sitting out in our apartment, and there was actually quite a few times where I would just go out with like a couple cushions and like sit and read out there, which I thought was nice. But yeah, that's our apartment. That's what $1,050 to $1,100 will get you in Beijing. But keep in mind, Beijing, the way that it's laid out, it's in rings, and so like the more central you are, the more expensive things will be. But then once you get out into like the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th ring, your rent will be more affordable. And that's basically where we were. So yeah, this is what it looks like. It was a cute, super cute little apartment. And we even had on the 1st floor, it was like a little tiny grocery store where we could buy different candies or ice creams or chips or drinks and things like that, which was really convenient. A lot of the times we could buy water or ramen. And it was really cute. It was a really cute setup. They had like a little garden space out there, and you could also like walk. There was kind of like a track almost where you could walk around, and that was really nice when the weather was beautiful outside. So yeah, that's our apartment. This video interesting or helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, I would love to hear from all of you. Tell me about your experiences in China, or even if you have any questions for me, I would love to get to all of you. And until next time, bye guys. All I'm saying